Volkswagen, again, we had a very, very strong majority going into that. Volkswagen was neutral but would not agree to a card check. They wanted an election. When we had the election, once we called for the election, the politicians, Bob Corker, Senator Corker, I hate to call him senator, but he is, Senator Corker, the mayor Haslund from Tennessee, and Grover Norquist all moved in, set up offices, and started an anti-union campaign. Grover Norquist has got a new wing of his anti-middle class agenda now called the Center for Worker Freedom. They ran a very dishonest, very deceitful campaign, scared people to the point that they did not support the union. We didn't have majority support on election day. And it's all because of the fear that they built into people. Now, if the employer would have done any of those things, and VW, to their credit, took the high road all the way through, but if VW would have done any of the things that those politicians did, they would have been slam dunk unfair labor practices. But they didn't do it. The politicians and the wealthy extremists did it for them. Now we've stayed in contact with Volkswagen and stayed in contact with those workers. I was very hopeful that I was going to be able to share with you some good news on Volkswagen today, but I'm not at a point that I can talk about it. But stay tuned, because in the very near future, you're going to hear some good news about our organizing campaign in Chattanooga, Tennessee with Volkswagen, and I'm looking forward to being able to talk more about that. So what we got the wealthy extremists, just as we had with Volkswagen, that are attacking us on everything we do, whether it's organizing campaigns, collective bargaining, health and safety, education, any of those things that are near and dear to us as working middle class people. You got the wealthy 1% that are fighting us. They're supporting the employers. It used to be you beat the employer, you won the fight. Well, today you got to beat the employer, who is well funded by these wealthy individuals, and then you got to beat back all the things that they do and all their tricks, the way they buy politicians, and they literally do. We've had more fights, more frequent fights, and more expensive fights than we ever had. Right to work. We've faced that right here in Indiana. But we've had the last 4 years, major fights over collective bargaining in Wisconsin and Ohio and Pennsylvania and Missouri, because they're just constantly coming at us. And we've experienced a huge increase in the number of retiree health care fights that we've had to take employers on. Particularly in our closed IPS, our parts supplier plants, and our TOP facilities. We got fights going on right now in Region 2B in Ohio and Indiana with Honeywell, Navistar, PPG, Bosch, Faurecia, Moen, a company that makes water faucets. We represented in Elyria, Ohio. They closed that plant about 5 years ago, but in the closing agreement, we preserved the retiree health care. And about a year ago today, they sent a letter to retirees and told them that they were eliminating their retiree health care effective January 1st, 2014. So we sued them. We got an injunction. The judge said that they had to leave the benefits in place, but now we got to go to court and win the fight in court. But those are the kind of things that just keep coming up repeatedly. Another closed facility company tried to take Armstrong Air. They make air conditioners and residential air conditioners and furnaces. Took away some of the pension credit from some of the folks at that facility, and we had to sue them, and we won. But again, just legal fights that are expensive. Right to work. They passed in Indiana, they passed in Michigan. They're running the same exact script in Ohio. We know we're going to have to take that fight on. They've got 4 different avenues to try to make Ohio the next right to work state. We've got a fight plan, a battle plan for any of the 4 avenues that they try to take. In Ohio, we have some pretty good referendum language to do a citizen's veto. They passed in 2011, they passed the Senate Bill 5, which was an attack on collective bargaining rights for public employees. We took that up on a citizen's veto, collected over 1 million signatures. We needed 384,000, we collected over 1 million. We made them count every one of them. They didn't want to count once they hit the 384,000, we insisted. We took that to a citizen's veto, we beat it on the ballot. We've held that same group together because we anticipate the need to fight the fight, the right to work fight, if and when that happens. 2 months ago, they moved right to work legislation in Missouri, but fortunately we had enough friends in the Missouri legislature that we beat it back. They moved it in Kentucky in March of this year. We beat it back. They've got active campaigns going on in Pennsylvania and Wisconsin right now. And the thing about all these right to work fights, none of them have been worker-driven initiatives. It wasn't labor union members standing up saying, hey, we don't want to pay our dues. Our members appreciate the representation they get and the strength they get, the collective strength they get with their labor unions. It's not a worker-driven initiative. In every case, it's been wealthy one-percenters that are pushing right to work, and they use these deceptive terms of right to work. We know of instances where they've stood out in front of welfare offices, stopping people and saying, hey, you sign our petition, we'll get you the right to work. I mean, they've done it. We've seen it happen. In Ohio, they call it the Workplace Freedom Act. They're collecting signatures now for almost 2 years, trying to get it on the ballot. And Workplace Freedom Act. When have wealthy people in this country ever been willing to spend millions of dollars to give us more freedom? It's so deceptive. It's all about trying to weaken labor unions so they can have their way with workers. But it's even bigger than that. They know that labor unions turn out to vote. They know that labor unions educate our members on the issues. They know that we educate the public on the issues. And so it's all part of their goal to suppress the vote, because they know when we turn out to vote, we win.